Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. While we let everyone trickle in, we'll go over just a few items before we start. My name's Kayla. I'm here representing the Acelab team, and we have Andrew here from Lati. So we're excited to get started, but I do want to share my screen just for a moment and give you guys all a quick glance at Lati's Acelab page. So here we are. Just a moment, should switch over. Here we are on Lati's Acelab page. So anytime you're looking for a specific manufacturer, you're welcome to use the search bar at the top within Acelab to navigate to that. We are making a few updates actually to their page currently, so you'll see those come through within about a week or so on this. So definitely keep an eye on their page. I'll drop the link for you to reference. But we've got some great information here already. Got some projects for you, or sorry, some products for you to look through. You can save it to your firm library for future reference, or just click into any of these pages here to get more information. So some really great information here. So like I said, I'll drop this in the chat for you to click into and explore more. Couple other items to go over before we get started. We will be doing a poll during today's webinar. So I want to emphasize that that poll is optional. You'll see it pop up closer towards the end of the presentation. So you can fill that out if you'd like to get some follow-up information from Andrew and his team. We will connect you over email. So you'll see an email notification come through from a no reply at Acelab. You actually can reply to that to reply directly to Andrew and his team, or you can log into your Acelab account and reply to any conversations there as well. So could be a great way to get more questions answered, talk about anything specific to projects, but a great tool for collaboration. We will also do a post-webinar survey. So if you have any feedback for us, feel free to drop that there. And then we will also do Q&A if there's time at the end. Feel free to drop any questions that you have throughout the presentation in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And if we don't have time today, we will follow up with you over email with some answers. And last but not least, this is an AIA-approved presentation. So we collected your AIA numbers upon registration. So you probably are already good to go with that. But if you're concerned that we didn't get your number, you can just drop that in the form that I'll be putting in the chat. So feel free to use that if you need to. But that is everything on my end. So Andrew, I'll go ahead and pass it back to you.
Great, thanks. Let me just share my screen. Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for joining. We're looking forward to sharing this with the Acelab community. My name is Andrew, and I represent Lati. We're based in New York, but we have a global presence of our team. I'm based in Cambridge. We have people in Texas, Mexico City, Colombia, Portugal, Morocco, and Spain. So we really kind of have a large presence throughout the country and the world. So a little bit about us to get started. We specialize in steel, brass, and high-performance aluminum fenestration systems. And a little bit about myself. I'm the head of architectural partnerships. So I'm a trained architect. I worked for about 10 years in practice, starting my career at Zaha Hadid's, then moving to SOM, and then Bjarke Ingels Group. I also teach. I've taught at Harvard. I'm a director for the Architectural Association's New York program, and I'm currently a lecturer at Columbia University in New York. So 4 objectives for today's presentation. First, we're just going to try to understand the fundamental properties of fenestration materials, so steel, aluminum, and brass, and kind of how their composition affects performance, durability, and sustainability in your projects. We're going to analyze how material selection impacts thermal performance. We're going to go over how those performance metrics are measured and what metrics are good and bad and what you should take into consideration. We're going to interpret NFRC certification and kind of go through what that means and what's measured for being compliant. And then we're going to look at how you can apply this knowledge to improve project outcomes within your designs. So why metal fenestration? It really is a quite an amazing uh, thing to have metal windows and doors in projects. It kind of it's something that is different than other types of materials because they age and patina with time, and it really changes and grows with, or it changes its appearance and its feel over time through the life cycle of the building. So it's it's a really great material because it can be an eco-conscious design for sustainability aspects. It's very durable and it has a long longevity. It's highly recyclable, and by using recycled metal in our products, we reduce the carbon footprint that they have. They're also very beautiful. There's kind of a dynamic aesthetic that evolves over time with throughout the whole project itself. So on one side of the building, it might age and look a little bit different than on the other side of the building, which is kind of a romantic and nice aspect of the patining over time. It's offers consistent performance, so its uniform composition ensures reliability across applications, and natural metals blend beauty with durability, meeting the highest standards of craftsmanship. It's also naturally corrosion resistant. They develop a protective patina over time that enhances the durability and aesthetics of the project. It has long-term integrity. It doesn't crack or warp or deteriorate with age like other materials. It's very low maintenance while maintaining its structural performance, and it becomes more robust and beautiful over time. So let's kind of look at the materials themselves and see how to choose the right material. So here's a project by OMA and Haas in Italy that was done in steel. Steel is known for its exceptional structural strength and high load bearing capacity, making it ideal for large window and door openings. You can see here the Maxi Museum made with Secco materials in Rome, Italy by Zaha Hadid. Its high tensile strength ensures that it can support heavy loads. It allows for thinner profiles compared to aluminum and brass, which maximizes the amount of glazing area without compromising its structural integrity. And its rigidity makes it particularly useful in high wind zones or seismically active regions where material flexing can be problematic. So looking at the composition of steel, it's a dense and heavy material, typically weighing 2.5 times more than aluminum. Due to its weight, it requires reinforced structural support for installation, making it less suitable for projects where lightweight construction is a priority. However, weight results in a higher transportation and handling costs compared to aluminum, requiring more labor-intensive installation process. Steel is highly durable. It often lasts for more than 50 years if it's properly maintained. It's corrosion resistant. All the products that we offer are galvanized and powder coated or stainless steel to prevent long-term deterioration. Steel windows and doors sometimes require periodic inspections, particularly in coastal and humid environments where salt exposure can cause damage. Coated and stainless steel options reduce maintenance requirements, but there's some occasional recoating or touch-ups that may be needed to prevent surface degradation. So steel strength offers large vistas to the outdoors, blending domains between spaces and lighting up the room with life and beauty. Next, we'll move into aluminum. So here's a project by Francisco Artigas. This is our showroom down in Mexico City that was renovated a few years ago with all of our aluminum products. Aluminum offers moderate strength, which makes it suitable for most standard window and door applications, particularly in residential or low-rise commercial settings. It's not as strong as steel, so it can't support as much weight without reinforcement. To compensate, aluminum systems often incorporate additional structural elements or thermal break reinforcements like what we offer, especially for large spans uh, in buildings. Because of its lower strength to weight ratio, aluminum tends to require slightly larger framing, uh, but it still doesn't largely impact sight lines like other products do. So aluminum is extremely versatile. It's important to understand the trade-offs between profile size and structural capacity, which our team can help you with throughout the design process. A little bit about the science of aluminum. There's some big advantages to its lightweight nature, especially to heavier metals like steel and brass. Because it's so much lighter, it's easier to transport, handle on site, and to install, which kind of translates to savings in both labor and time. It also reduces structural load demands, making aluminum ideal for retrofit projects or historical preservation projects where weight may be a concern. Additionally, reduced weight can mean lower shipping costs and faster installation times. Aluminum is naturally corrosion resistant. Aluminum performs or forms a protective layer when oxidized to the air, or when exposed to the air, preventing rust and expands its lifetime. The lifespan of aluminum is typically 30 to 40 years, with minimal maintenance required. Surface coatings are typically anodized or powder-coated aluminum, which often improves UV resistance, weatherability, and color retention. There's the only real maintenance needs are occasional cleaning to remove dirt and environmental pollutants that may have been attached to it. And then one other consideration to take is aluminum can be prone to denting and scratching. So that's important to consider. And now looking at brass, here's the Venice Hotel made with Seco brass products. Here's the interior. You can see it's a polished brass. Brass sits between aluminum and steel when it comes to structural performance. It's stronger and more rigid than aluminum, giving it better dimensional stability, especially for custom or intricate profiles. However, it doesn't match the load-bearing capacity of steel. Brass really excels a lot within specialty projects that demand both performance and high craft. You'll most often see it in historical preservation projects, premium architectural accents, and decorative detailing for high-end residential, luxury retail, and cultural projects. Steel is really kind of a great material because it combines longevity, strength, and elegance, and it kind of balances both aesthetics and durability over time. A little bit about the chemistry of brass. It's heavier than aluminum, but slightly lighter than steel. Because of this, larger window and door assemblies in brass require additional structural support, which our teams can help with. And brass is typically made of about 67% copper and 33% zinc. So while brass adds a bit more weight and complexity to installation, it offers great longevity and aesthetic quality and character in projects. Brass is one of the most durable materials available for architectural fenestration. Its performance really lasts and shines over time. It offers exceptional corrosion resistance, which is great for coastal or high humid climates. One of the great characteristics of brass is how it patinas over time, developing a rich surface that kind of enhances with an appearance over time, and also while also acting as a protective layer, shielding the metal from environmental wear. So in many ways, the patining is a great feature, not really a flaw. Brass is also very low maintenance. Doesn't need to be painted or coated. And there's different looks of how you can have it, whether it's a bright and polished, or if you like the burnished patining over time. Brass windows and doors can last for over 100 years with minimal intervention or upkeep that's needed. So it's a really long-lasting building material for premium projects. It is a luxury material with high upfront costs, but the longevity of the material reduces its need to be replaced over time. Here's a look at one of the projects with the burnished brass that has been patining over the years in Rome. So just some key performance metrics to kind of think of and consider. All of these materials sort of have things that they excel at in some sort of ways, whether it's steel for very large spans with minimum framing, or aluminum, which is really great for weight-conscious projects and ease of installation, and brass, which is really great for corrosion resistance and long-lasting performance. They all have similar maintenance properties and corrosion resistant properties. So there's a lot of different common use cases that you can use for these different types of materials. So let's look at the life cycle analysis and sustainability of these materials. So steel performs really well in aspects of its recyclability. It's 100% recyclable, and there's a really well-established global recycling infrastructure for handling and reusing it as a building material. So recycling steel offers significant energy and carbon savings compared to producing new steel from raw materials. So using recycled materials requires about 75% less energy than raw material. It has a very high strength to weight ratio, making it very strong, so less material is needed to achieve the same structural performance. And it helps optimize resource use by reducing both material consumption and transportation emissions. It's still carries a moderate embodied carbon impact, particularly during its initial production. But this carbon is typically offset in its long lifespan, since the windows can last for 50 years or more, requiring less replacement. For its embodied carbon considerations, it can have a significant footprint in the initial production stage, but most steel is commonly recycled and from scrap materials, and when using the scrap materials, it can reduce emissions by more than 50%. Looking at aluminum, aluminum is also one of the most sustainably recycled materials in the built environment, especially for facade and fenestration systems. Roughly 95% of aluminum used in buildings is recycled at the end of its life. The great thing about aluminum is recycling aluminum only uses about 5% of the initial energy to produce it from raw materials, saving 95% of its energy required to produce it. Its lightweight nature also contributes to reduce transportation emissions, and it's one of the best materials for long-term environmental impacts. It's raw aluminum has one of the highest embodied carbon footprints among materials. Producing just 1 ton of primary virgin aluminum emits roughly 8 to 10 tons of CO2, so it's a lot more than steel or brass. It's a very lightweight in nature, reducing the consumption of fuel for transportation, and typically having them be thermally broken also increases its strength, so you can reduce the amount of material needed. Brass is highly sustainable material when you look at its full life cycle performance. It's fully recyclable with no loss of quality, even after multiple recycling cycles, making it really suited for high reuse. Because it's so durable, uh, a typical lifespan can be 100 years or more, and it's often repurposed or restored rather than discarded. Um, the life cycle carbon footprint is relatively low, with a long service life and low maintenance needs. Since it's also highly resistant to corrosion, it also reduces the need to repair and replace. Some embodied carbon considerations. It emits 4 tons of CO2, so significantly less than aluminum, but still more than steel. It's highly recyclable, um, and highly durable. Its natural patina helps protect it, and the aesthetic aging process reduces the need to replace it over time. So looking at them all, they all have some similar characteristics. Steel is 100% recyclable. Aluminum is roughly 95% recyclable. So there's a lot of different trade-offs and considerations of the sustainability aspects of these products. Looking at energy efficiency and building performance now, fenestration is one of the most impactful elements of the building envelope when it comes to thermal performance, often accounting for 30 to 40% of the building's total heat loss or gained. If these systems are poorly designed or installed, HVAC systems have to work harder to compensate for this energy loss, leading to higher energy bills. You can get condensation, and occupants can experience drafts or thermal discomfort if the fenestration isn't properly spec'd or installed. So material selection and proper frame detailing with thermal breaks can help increase this performance of these systems. Looking at the conductivity of these materials, steel is a highly thermal has high thermal conductivity, which means it transfers heat easily. On its own, it's a poor insulator, but our systems all have proper thermal breaks, which help make it more energy conscious. Aluminum is also a very conductive metal. It's typically paired with insulated glazing units and advanced low-E coatings to manage thermal transfer and reduce energy loss. And brass performs moderately. It's more conductive than insulated materials, but less than steel or aluminum. It also offers some passive thermal stability. So looking at the terminology that we'll be talking about, first we're going to be looking at U factor. So this is kind of like thermal transmittance. So it measures how well material allows heat to pass through it. We're also going to be talking about solar heat gain coefficient, which represents how much solar radiation is transmitted through the window. And then lastly, thermal conductivity. So looking at how conductive these materials are with energy. So one of the great things that the Lati products offer, they're all thermally broken windows. So thermal breaks are low conductive materials that are inserted between the metal frame sections to reduce heat transfer from one side to the other. It's essential for steel and aluminum, and we also have it in our brass systems as well. Another strategy for thermal performance is looking at glazing strategies. So we offer single, double, and triple pane options for glazing. We also have low E coatings that reduce the infrared and UV light transmission. And we also have different gases that are filled in depending on the performance that's requested by the architect. Now we'll go into NFRC certification ratings and why it's important. The NFRC ratings are are set up by the National Fenestration Rating Council, which just organize and set standards for performance ratings for fenestration, windows, doors, and skylights. It's something that's independently verified, and it's required for Energy Star labeling, and it's like widely recognized by programs like LEED and Passive House. Okay. So how do you break down what the label is saying? So when you're looking at the U factor, lower numbers mean better thermal insulation. When you're looking at the solar heat gain coefficient, you you want to see what's best for the climates that you're building in. For visible transmittance, we're looking at how much daylight passes through the window. And then for air leakage indicates how airtight the product is. So there's different zone considerations based on where your project is being built. So in a northern zone, your goal is to primarily retain heat in the winter and take advantage of passive solar gain when possible. For the northern central zone, it's kind of more balanced with cold winters and warm summers, where fenestration needs to be to have high performance year round. Looking at this south central zone, you have intense summer heat while still offering enough insulation for milder winter months. And then for the southern zone, the climate could be both hot and humid, often year round. The goal there is to maximize cooling efficiency and block solar radiation as much as possible. Looking at like the regulatory requirements for LEED, Passive House, and Net Zero, there's there's aspects you can consider for energy and atmosphere, daylighting, optimization credits, visible transmittance, and then heat island reduction. And now how do you, what's the best practices for selection of these materials? The first would be trying to understand aesthetic and design intent. So for steel, you know, those lines offer thin slight lines, large spans, making it really great for modern and historical preservation projects. Aluminum is lightweight, corrosion resistant, and available in a lot of different finishes. So it's really great for high-rise and commercial buildings. And brass is a really distinctive luxury aesthetic that ages over time, which is great for historic reservations, high-end residences, and luxury retail. When you're looking at structural performance and load considerations, steel is the highest load-bearing capacity. Aluminum is moderate in strength, but that can be reinforced for larger spans if needed. And then brass is durable and heavier than aluminum, which requires proper surrounding support for it. Looking at environmental conditions and climate sustainability, for coastal environments, they require high corrosion resistance, so stainless steel and anodized aluminum or brass work best for this. And in extreme climates, you want to use high performance glazing as well to reduce heat transfer longevity. All of our products for our steel are AISI 306 and 316L marine stainless steel, which offer very high corrosion resistance. Aluminum is also naturally corrosion resistant, but can often benefit by being anodized or have powder coating. And brass develops that great patina that we had talked about earlier, reducing its maintenance, but might have other upkeep if you want to keep it polished and bright if desired. So all of these are kind of a balance between design and budget constraints. So for luxury residential projects, those projects often use brass or steel for the aesthetics, which come with a higher upfront cost, but the trade-off is the long lifespan and minimal maintenance can help offset this over time. For commercial applications, aluminum is usually the dominant material due to its cost efficiency and adaptability. And for renovation and adaptive reuse projects, steel and brass offer the ability to kind of match historical details with, modern high performance. And then lastly, performance versus life cycle costing. So like we said before, higher initial investment in durable materials like steel and brass can result in lower lifetime costs. Lower cost materials like aluminum may require periodic refinishing or replacement, increasing long-term costs. And then so you can factor these in for replacement cycles to better understand total projected cost of a project. And then return on investment considerations would be that steel has a higher upfront cost, but minimal replacements is needed. Aluminum is mid-range cost with moderate maintenance, good for fast-paced developments. And then brass is high cost, but very long lifespan, typically used for heritage and premium custom projects. So all of these materials have some key takeaways to think about. That material selection matters. There's strengths, trade-offs, and disadvantages between all of the different materials. NFRC certification ensures compliance and makes sure that your materials and doors are meeting regulations. Thermal performance and energy efficient are essential for successful projects to help reduce energy costs and have increased performance. And then sustainable and life cycle considerations by choosing materials that are made with recycled content or can be easily recycled after the lifespan of a project. So now we're going to go into what Lati offers and the materials that we have. So all of our materials are made by a company called Secco, Secco Sistemi. They are based out of Italy. They make all of our profiles, and then we fabricate those profiles. So they've been around for over 70 years. They're used by lots of different architects on very high profile projects, and the profiles are made with sustainable materials, and the advanced engineering really allows for high performance in projects. So with these profiles made by Secco, we have two brands. One is Bella Vista. That's where our steel and brass line comes from. It's constructed with Secco Sistemi profiles made in Italy. And then we have Spazio, which is a high performance aluminum line constructed from Cortizo profiles in Spain. So first we're going to look at our steel line from Bella Vista. So Bella Vista is really great in offering a unique design with minimalist and contemporary looks. They're very energy efficient because of our thermally broken profiles and insulated glass. They're very, very high quality, and there's really kind of unmatched value. We produce and manufacture all of our windows in Portugal and Morocco, which offers modern technology in its fabrication, but old world finishing in the craftsmanship of how they produce the windows. We offer a wide range of operability, allowing for architectural visions to not be limited or compromised. And we have different profiles for different types of projects for thickness and size of window. So the first one would be our Bella profile, which is the thinnest and most minimal, which is offering the advanced thermal breaks that I mentioned to reduce the amount of impeded vision from the inside to the outside. So you can see the different thicknesses with the different number of glazing glazing panels that we have. So for our Bella 40, that one's used for indoors, typically for high-end luxury apartments and hotels for things like their gyms or spas or shared co-working spaces, things like that. Next is our Vista profile, which is a little bit bigger, but it offers top tier thermal efficiency. So you can see the different thicknesses of each of these variants in the windows. The Murano offers different beveled profiles for a slightly different and more refined look. And then the Castello has Gothic profiles, which offer a higher level of detail for certain projects that might want those sort of profiles. Looking at materials and finish, you can see here this is our polished our satin brass material, which can also be burnished. Stainless steel, we offer in a satin finish, a burnished finish, a scop bright, which is a slightly brushed finish, polished, and then we offer in powder coating. We also offer Core 10 steel, which is an amazing product to see. It's really beautiful, and it also has some changes in it over time, which kind of go with the longevity and life of the building. And then probably the most common use that we often see is powder coated galvanized steel with a large variety of colors, and we can do our best to do color matching as well if you need it for replacement or for renovation projects. We also have a line of accessories. We have all of our door and window handles that are available in all of the finishes that we just went through, as well as a lot of different types of glazing beads to help accent looks that you might want for your projects. And thanks so much. You can reach out to us at our email if you would like any personal visits, or we can bring by our samples. We travel a lot through the country, so if you are interested in additional lunch and learns, we have 4 lunch and learns total that are based on different topics like sustainability, historical renovation, material science, things like that. So if you would also like another lunch and learn, we'd love to come in person and meet your team and go through our products in more detail. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Andrew. I think that wraps everything up today. I just went ahead and launched the poll. So just like Andrew said, if you're interested in getting any kind of follow-up, whether that's even to be connected for a lunch and learn, filling out that poll can be a great place to start, because what we'll do is we'll generate a conversation between you and then Andrew, and then, like I mentioned earlier, you'll get an email notification coming from a no reply at Acelab. So even though it says no reply, you can reply to that. So you can go ahead and start that conversation. And as I mentioned before, we do see your questions here, but what we'll do is we have your emails. We will be following up and getting answers to those via email after today. So yeah, I think that's everything though. Andrew, any final comments or notes before we wrap it up today?
Thank everybody for their time, for attending. And I hope that you guys can reach out. We're very excited to come out and see different offices and introduce ourselves in more detail, and get more personal answers for project questions or quoting. Our quoting time is typically within 48 hours. So if you guys are ever interested or curious of how we price compared to other competitors, typically it's about 20 to 30% cheaper depending on the material and the uses. So yeah, we're excited to get into the market and get to know more of you. So please reach out.
Wonderful. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you everyone who joined. We hope you all have a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.